All right. Well, for those of you tuned in on Facebook, welcome. Thank you for joining us again for our Tlingit Haida Lunchtime chat. And we're excited this week. We have kind of a broad topic this week. We are talking kind of all things childcare and what we're doing with our youth, from Head Start, childcare, our language immersion nest, and our daycare. And I'm really excited to have everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Peterson. My Tlingit name is Chachia Ish. I'm Kagwantan from the Eagle's Nest House, and I serve as the president of Tlingit Haida. It's a real honor today to have such a distinguished panel. These ladies are extremely accomplished and very amazing in each field that they're in. And so I'm really excited to have each of them here. I would like just briefly, if each could introduce themselves and go in the order that's on the slide, starting with Alice.
My name is Alice Woodbeguile. I am the child care manager. I've been with the program for 36 years.
Yeah, I'm Mary Cruz, or Dot Ginny, and I have been working for Tlingit Haida for about 4 years now in the Hayuchatangi Kudi, the language immersion nest. I'm the lead instructor there.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Dibdahl. I'm originally from Klawock. I am the Cultural Heritage and Education Director for Tlingit Haida.
Good afternoon, I'm Amber Fromhurst. I'm the director of Tlingit Haida Head Start. I've been with Tlingit Haida for over 5 years, and as a director, halfway through my 3rd year.
Hi, I'm Jamie Shanley. I've been in my position currently this is my 1st year, and previously worked with Head Start for about 5 years, and I'm the administrator of Learn Child Care Center.
Great. Well, as I said, it's obvious that we kind of cover the gamut with what we do for our youth. I'd like to start by having each of our guests provide kind of a brief overview of their programs and services. And I'll start with our child care manager, Alice Pagoyo. Alice, your department's focus is to increase the availability, affordability, and quality of child care service to tribal families. Can you talk about the direct support services that you provide to our families and share information on community served and eligibility requirements?
Child care development was enacted in 1990. We underwent new initiatives in 2014. And basically what the program does is it provides child care subsidies to families that are working or in training who have children between the ages of 0 to 13. The program also has discretionary funding, which is for working parents. And if you're within 85% of the median income, you can qualify for our services. We go by tribal median income, so it's a little better than the average median income. Last year, we served over 188 children. Our main focus is to provide quality services to our tribal members.
Great. You also provide support to before and after school programs and cultural activities like culture camps. Understanding that this year with the COVID-19 pandemic, things may look a little different, but are you still providing financial support to any of the culture camps this year or other youth activities?
It has been a real challenge. We have elders that participate in the culture camp program, so it was the option of the culture camps to not provide programs this year. But as an alternative, what we did was we contracted with Vocational Training Resource Center, and we're hoping to produce cultural videos so that we can provide the videos in 18 of our communities.
That's great. Another area of service that you provide is to child care providers through the Quality Improvement Program. What kind of support do you provide child care providers?
What we can provide health our childcare providers is first aid, CPR. We can also provide health and safety equipment. If you're starting a new daycare, we can pay for salaries, we can pay for leasing. We can also pay for the furnishings that you are interested in purchasing for your facility. This year it was really difficult because with COVID, there's a standard that you have to follow, no cloth. So some of the facilities received mini grants from our program to help change their equipment that they had within their facility.
Great. So on that note, I'd like to turn to our Tlingit language immersion nest. Sarah, can you give us some back history on this project and how it was funded?
Yeah, thank you, President Peterson. So when I think of where we're at with the language nest, Hayukatangi Kudi, I think of the voice of our delegates who passed numerous resolutions over the span of the last, 5 to 10 years. And, Tribal Assembly passed the resolution TA 1415, which was the formation of the language department. And then also in 2015, the passage to give Tlingit Haida authority to start language immersion programs. And in 2018, we were successfully awarded an Esther Martinez Immersion Initiative grant. We're in year 2 of the 3 years that were awarded, and it's just been really exciting to see the program grow under Dr. Jenny's leadership.
Well, that leads me into Mary, Dr. Jenny. You've been the backbone of our language nest. I'd say that's safe to say. Can you share some of the accomplishments of this project over the past year?
Yeah, I would say we had about 400 hours of contact immersion hours with our students since last April 2019. About 14 kids enrolled this year, and ages 3 to 9. Pretty fantastic. By February, not only were they very responsive to what we were saying in the language, but they were also responding in the language. We had one little guy putting together words that we had never actually used before together, and he was putting them together to make sentences, and so that was really exciting. We held family nights every other week, so 2 times a month we'd all come together with all the families. We'd eat together, we would do language lessons. I really feel like the family component is really important for the nest, so that was pretty amazing. We also got to, with the help of the child care department, order regalia kits for the kids and do some workshops with the parents. Unfortunately, it got cut a bit short because of COVID, but we were able to send them home with drum kits and regalia kits for each of the children. So we're really appreciative of the cooperation of the child care department in helping with all of that too.
So you mentioned, the pandemic and how a little bit of the impact. I know from the tribe's perspective, it's been an enormous impact on just how we operate and do business. How has it impacted the language nest?
Yeah, it's impacted us greatly, really. Even though we had to stop meeting in person, we did continue to do weekly circle times with our kids over Zoom. And so that was interesting, watching the kids try to interact with us on Zoom, a totally different dynamic than what it would have been in the classroom. But we continued with that. We also offered a 5-week language literacy class to parents. And so it was kind of learning the reading and writing system. The staff, we took a circle of security class, which is, it's kind of a parenting class, but it's really just reflection on how you deal with the children and what their needs are and how you're meeting their needs. And our plan is to offer them that class to the parents in the fall, as well as more language classes. So we plan to we're going to probably do distance in the fall, just assessing the situation, and probably going to provide a lot of focus on how do we get the parents and the guardians the language skills that they need to continue using it in the home. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
it's been pretty exciting. You know, I know some of the youth that, the little ones that are in the nest, and it's really crazy to see just how they are using the language. And you know, when I'm around some of them, they use the language with me, and it's provided me kind of you know, like that incentive. Like it's like, okay, I need to really start taking some classes and throw myself in there, so that you know, you want to be a role model for these young ones, and they're already surpassing us. And we know that's not our fault, but we also know that we're seeing such a revitalization and resurgence in opportunities for language where we can take those classes. So, yeah, I think it's exciting to see, and hopefully that's sparking other people. And I know you guys are doing a really fantastic job bringing in those families and making sure that it's beyond that classroom.
Sheesh.
So great. Rayanne, are we going to show a little bit of the video now?
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, I'm really excited to share this. This is the video that our communications department did for the families. And this is the first time it's been shared broadly, and then it'll be available on our YouTube page. So I think we'll just give a snippet here. So go ahead, Rayanne. Well, I don't know about everybody, but that hits me in all the feels. It's pretty powerful to see that. And I got to tell you, when we have some of our executive council meetings upstairs, it's really something to hear the children downstairs, and they're playing and they're yelling and screaming and having fun, and they're doing it in the language, and it's just gives you goosebumps. One thing I wanted to mention too, before we move on, is, you know, Tlingit Haida has made a commitment to being a part of the solution with our language revitalizations. And so we've committed to the three indigenous languages of Southeast, you know, Tlingit, Hadkil, Shamalgit, that we're gonna all rise together in the same canoe. And so to that end, I know that Alice and other Sarah, through some of our different initiatives have been helping, like Heidelberg with their language nest. We've been working with the Hike Foundation in Metlakatla. So we're really doing what we can to try to make sure that all three languages are rising together and that we're doing our part in that. But there are some really strong language folks in our communities doing amazing things. And so for us, sometimes it's just helping some financial support, but they've got amazing teams, you know, in our different communities. And it's really exciting to see. And here in Juneau, of course, we're doing the Tlingit language for our language nest, but we contribute and help out with Shamalgat class. We give them a place to meet and work, and technology to do Zoom, Hodkill. You know, we want to see them all rise together. And so I just want to say that as the president of Tlingit Haida, I'm so appreciative to our team here who really takes that mission to heart. I want to turn now to Amber. Amber, as the director of Head Start, it's been a real challenging year for you as well with this pandemic. Head Start had to close its school year early. So are you still accepting applications for new enrollment in the fall? You're muted, Amber.
Thank you, President. Absolutely, we're taking applications in all of our Head Start communities, and you know, we did end physically meeting with children and families early last year. We ended that early, but one kind of positive note on that was, you know, shout out to our families. We've increased our family visits, which were completed distance, but over 90% in all of our communities, which is higher than we typically would achieve pre-COVID. So that's just a shout out to the families for continuing to be involved with their children's education despite the current circumstances.
So Amber, can you talk a little bit about the focus of Head Start and perhaps share some of the information on the community served and eligibility requirements?
Absolutely. Head Start as a whole, as a nation, a federally funded program, they are, our focus is to target income eligible families to promote school readiness and a comprehensive model. What that means is, as a AIAN Head Start, Alaska, American Indian Alaska Native Head Start out of Region 11, we are able to enroll up to 51% of our children who are income eligible. That means the families are meeting 100% of the U.S. poverty guideline. So 49% can be over the poverty guideline. We also focus a lot on enrolling students who are experiencing homelessness, who are in the foster care system. Those areas we're able to expedite enrollment. But that's the gist of Head Start, with the hopes of school readiness, and that means getting ready for kindergarten. This is a big push and a time for our youngsters to get early intervention. So if our children are not able to hear, that can impact their speech. And if we're able to be able to partner with families at this age group, then hopefully we'll be able to identify those areas that can get some early interventions and may connect families to the supports for the children so that they're successful K through 12.
That's awesome.
We serve in 10 different communities that are listed on the slide, and we serve children who are 3 by September 1st and younger than 5. So if you're turning 5 September 2nd, we still want your application. And we have an application online. If you call our office, we'll also mail you an application. And we do have our enrollment specialist available to hand a paper application to you as well at the Jammer Head Start Center in Juneau.
Great, thank you, Amber.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the new economic ventures of Tlingit Haida, one of our newest tribal enterprises, is our Learn Childcare Center. Unfortunately, it was also closed temporarily due to the COVID-19. But the Child Care Center did open back, and then up in May with partial capacity. Jamie, can you share some information on Learn and where we are at in terms of reaching full capacity?
Yeah, so Learn opened up in February. Learn is an acronym for Little Eagles and Ravens Nest, and we're a licensed childcare center. We're located right next to Fred Meyer, and we have a large space that we're leasing from the Juneau Christian Center. And we totally renovated. It's a beautiful space. We serve ages 0 to 6, and it's a childcare program, so we're full day and operate all year. We are currently open and serving 50% of our capacity, which is 30 children. Our full capacity would put us at 60. So we are in the process of getting approval to increase our capacity over the next few months. But
Well, as is with these.
we really are taking it slow because we have a in the building.
So Jamie, unfortunately you froze for a minute there. Don't know quite where we lost you, but talking about getting back to full capacity and having to get approved, that's all based on the pandemic, correct? And
Correct.
so we're working to stay within the requirements, and also for ourselves determining what's safe and what we feel is acceptable. And so can you talk a little bit about some of the measures we're taking now with the pandemic? I know we're doing temperatures and things.
Yeah, so we do daily health screenings on all of our staff and children. We keep track of anybody traveling outside of the state and even those traveling within the state, and require test results or a 14-day quarantine out of the center for any families or children, our staff that are traveling. We're doing temperature checks. We have increased our sanitation and cleaning duties, and job technician, somebody who will kind of take on all of these extra duties so that our early educators can do their job of educating the children. And we are also going to be starting bi-weekly testing on all of our staff to help detect anything that comes through us.
Great. So Jamie, is Learn still accepting applications, or is there a wait list? What's going on there?
We are always accepting applications. You can find our application on our website, which is listed on the slide, or I could email you one or mail you one. We do have a very long wait list. I think more children are on our wait list than are enrolled right now. But my advice for parents is to just apply, because once we do start increasing our capacity, I'll be calling those families.
Great. Alice, through your quality improvement program, you've provided a tremendous level of support to both our language immersion nest and our Learn Childcare Center. Can you talk about how you've been able to support these services? You're muted, Alice.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Part of what we can do with the quality improvement program is pay for salaries. So during the startup phase of the programs, we're able to pay for the cost of the salaries for the administrators. We can also pay for the salaries of staff as well. Part of some of the other things that we can do is we can pay for furnishings, we can support training if they're interested in training. We did have a training CDA training program that they're eligible to participate in. That's just some of the things that we do for startup programs.
Great. So this question is kind of for anybody, but with your services that focus on childcare and child development, I'm sure there's a lot of area for cross collaboration. One of these areas I understand is to provide child development associate training. Can you talk about this partnership and why this training is important to our childcare and child development programs and services? And is this training that will be held again?
Well, before COVID, we had 18 participants participating in the Child Development Associate Training at the Vocational Training Resource Center. Our participants are required to have 120 hours and 480 hours of actual hands-on work experience, but they were only able to get halfway through. So one of the things that we're going to do is provide laptops for those individuals so they can continue their training. And we're hoping to do distance learning for the rest of them that are willing to participate or continuing to participate. Right when COVID happened, we were working with CERC, Southeast Regional Resource Center. They received a grant to provide Child Development Academy, and it was an 8-week training program. So we're trying to think of different ways we can continue with this program. We're starting small with 5 individuals. So I think social distancing and a large environment might work for us. But those are some of the things that we're trying to do to continue CDA, because it is mandatory for educators to have that training.
So are there other current or potential areas of collaboration that haven't been touched on yet that you'd like to share with our audience?
Actually, yeah, this is Dr. Ginny. One thing that we've really started plugging away with on was our curriculum. And I think that if Learn and Head Start could get together, I mean, I know that there's resources out there, but we're working on with Shken George as a contractor to pull together a 2-year alternating curriculum so that each year it's different content, or no, say like similar content where we can dig deeper into the content, but different contexts, right? So kind of a different curriculum base. So I was thinking that it would be great, especially since we've been working on it with the Nest, to get fresh eyes and have Learn and Head Start in on it and kind of sharing our resources. Because I feel like often we're all recreating the wheel when we already have quite a bit of stuff out there. So that's in the works, and that's something that we're going to be collaborating on here soon.
And President Peterson, if I can add to that, and first I want to apologize that I was dipping in and out. I lost all internet at my house for about 5 minutes. So if I was coming in and out, I apologize for that disruption. But the other thing that Alice spoke to briefly at the beginning of our conversation around collaboration, and it's in the works, is through Cultural Heritage and Education, and Mariah, as our Cultural Programs Coordinator, is working with language speakers and early educators to create videos in all 3 languages for our early education programs and families. And so some of the videos are going to be in English, but with cultural content, and some of them are going to be in the language. And we're hoping to have those videos in the next few months, made available so they can become, I think, timeless and just ongoing resources for our language efforts in our families and programs.
Yeah, so, one of the things we talk about collaboration, and I know that with Alice's program can kind of be the nucleus of that, but are we reaching outside of Tlingit Haida for those collaborations as well, building partnerships? I see Amber talking, but she's muted.
I keep doing that, President. I could speak to that a little bit. The collaborations that I know Alice and I, that's Ginny and Learn, we've all taken this conscious discipline training last fall, I want to say, with Annette Chastain, which was really culturally relevant, I would say. Conscious discipline is a national child social and emotional kind of curriculum, but with Annette Chastain's background as a Native woman, she was able to ground our experiences in historical trauma, the boarding school experience, and I was just appreciative that our teachers could hear that, our teachers could see each other as professionals in the early childhood profession, that even as a Head Start teacher, there's other early childhood professionals in our own neighborhood. We also partnered with Baby Raven Reads, Baby Raven at SHI and Gold Belt. Victoria Johnson has been a tremendous addition to our classrooms, bringing in the culture and family learning kits. And I just see more. I'm excited for the videos that Sarah has mentioned. So those are some areas that just popped out to me.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Sealaska Heritage and Gold Belt Heritage. I think we're not going to improve or solve this problem on our own, right? It's going to take that kind of collaboration and building partnerships. And I know it can be hard at times. Sometimes you step on each other's toes, or the potential to do that is there. But I think we all of our organizations recognize the state our languages are in, and that's going to be checking our egos and just doing the work. I know, Sarah, that's something you really believe in and have been a part of, and I know we're nurturing those partnerships. Is there any other plans besides what we've talked about?
So, President Peterson,
Yes, go ahead.
we have a project that we have going on in Cake. Cake is wanting to renovate a teen center, so we're real excited about that. We're starting our conversations on how we're going to serve them. We also received a request from Huna Indian Association who wants to start a daycare or renovate a daycare, so we're focusing on that as well this year. And we did purchase curriculum. Thank you, Mary Folletti, for putting us onto the curriculum, but it's real exciting. It's more true to our environment, Alaska, so I think our children are really going to enjoy this. And we have ownership of the curriculum, so this is going to be passed on to the Vocational Training Resource Center to develop, and they have props, they have visuals, they have a fish, that has all the insides where the children can learn, a lot of the different ways fish live. So we're real excited about the project, and I can't wait to see the end result, but thank you, Mary, for that.
Sarah, it looked like you were about to say something too. Did you?
Yeah, I was just going to expand on what Amber was sharing in regards of working with our other entities and similar, the videos that we've been given, permission to utilize some of the resources that other entities have produced for early education. And so the Baby Raven Reads, books and other things are some of the resources that we'll be able to utilize when we are doing these videos for families.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment and hold up our partners, our relatives that are doing this work. I just see so many of these young ones with the Baby Raven Reads books and the programs they're doing there. Tlingit Haida has been a long-time partner through Head Start with this program. And it's a fantastic program to see these books put out, some that are in the language, some that are talking about our lore and our culture. You know, if only we had these materials when we were little, you know, it's really fantastic to see. And so, you know, I just want to take that time to recognize Sea Alaska Heritage, Gold Belt Heritage, and those other partners. And those partners in the villages, you know, we're working really close with the folks in Heidelberg, as I said earlier, with the Hike Foundation, and tremendous work is happening. And I think a lot of people on the street don't necessarily know this work's happening. But if your children are involved with these programs, they're the beneficiary of it. And we're starting to hear little ones use the language more and more. And I think that's just so exciting. That kind of wraps up what our questions were. We want to turn now to, hopefully we have questions from our audience on Facebook. Rayanne, have we received any questions?
Yeah, we do. We actually have 2 questions that came in from Roald Helgeson. His first, actually both questions are for Learn. He's wondering, he said, with the great response for childcare services, are there growth opportunities to expand beyond 60 students for the Learn Childcare Center when they're back up and running 100%?
So unfortunately, we're kind of bound by licensing requirements, and that is based upon square footage. So our licensed capacity in this space is 60, and we will not be going above 60. That being said, there are always ways to expand, and definitely in the future, think about Tlingit and Haida possibly opening more childcare centers. And I know Alice has been in talks with other communities throughout Southeast, but in Juneau alone, there is definitely a need for more childcare, and the tribe recognizes that.
Yeah, if I can kind of join in on that. I think as we get our experience under us and it proves successful, we can open up multiple facilities and work towards that. The other thing we want to do is we always want to be a resource for our villages. And so through Alice and then also Jamie, I don't want to speak for Jamie, but I think if somebody was going to be starting up and I heard Huna, you know, we would offer any experience that we've gone through and share those experiences and insights, obviously. And I think that also, we can say that for our daycare, but I think that's true of our language nest too. I know that Dr. Ginny and others in the language nest work, they are collaborating, and we've actually hosted a few meetings. Mary, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
In reference to collaboration with other child
language groups, language nests.
Yeah, so yeah, that was one thing that came to mind is we have Yakutat actually started a language nest a few years before we did. So we've done some visits back and forth. They've come to see us and we've gone to see them. The Hodkill language group has come up to Juneau a few times, and we've done quite a bit of collaboration with them. We would love to go down. We were planning on going down to Heidelberg this spring to do a visit. Obviously that's been put on hold, but there is a lot of collaboration between the language nests, and we are a licensed facility as well. Although our main goal is not to provide childcare, but more to uplift the language. We did go through the proper channels of becoming licensed through the state. So we do have that as well. But yeah.
Thank you. Ray?
Yeah, so the other question from Roald is, how are the meals provided at Learn? Are there traditional customary opportunities to create a taste for kids not living in rural Alaska?
So our meals are catered through the tribe's other tribal enterprise smokehouse catering. So we get beautiful meals, breakfast and lunch delivered every day. And Paula and her crew at the kitchen do incorporate a lot of salmon and fish. Unfortunately, we're also bound by state regulations with DEC on what kind of food we can serve in a licensed center from a commercial kitchen. But we do, invite parents to bring and share traditional foods, and is something we're definitely open to doing more of.
Ray, you're muted.
Thank you for that. It looks like there's just one more question that came in. This is from John and Lisa Young. They ask, can TNH partner with a Native corporation to start a daycare facility on a work site?
I think we absolutely could. We'd have to know more, I guess, before we give any kind of answers, but we're open to partnerships, and we're always looking at new ways to serve our people. So, we kind of have an open door to those kind of things, suggestions and input from folks. So, yeah.
And we do have one more question that just came in from Emily Sheekley. She's wondering if the immersion program's accepting new applicants and where do they apply?
At this time, we are full, but we can take applicants for a wait list. And I have it on a Google app, so I can either mail it or email it if they contact me at my email, mfolletti@ccphika-nsn.gov.
If that's all the questions, I guess I would just I'd like to, it's not every day we have this opportunity to have such distinguished panelists. And is there anything that's kind of burning on any of your mind in this field, in what we could be doing better, what we're not doing, how the pandemic's changing what we might do?
President Peterson, if I could add something that, when we were preparing for this and some of the conversations that I think each of us have had in our respective programs, what's been exciting to see, when I think about Hayukutangi and Learn, we're in our infancy, we're new programs. And then we have kind of cornerstone programs with really long-standing, proven track records of Head Start and our childcare program, and helping us along the way. And I think what would, as we continue to grow and explore, something that I think would be exciting and is having an early childhood education campus where we can meet our families where they're at and have multiple opportunities, where some families might prefer Head Start and then want to go over to Learn. Some families might be ready for full immersion, but it's only a half-day program right now. So when that's over, instead of having to change schedules and rush and dash between lunch periods to get your kids from one location to another, being able to go to a place like Learn. And so I just think there's so much opportunity, and as our programs grow and we figure out ways to be aligned, it's really exciting to think about.
Yeah, I think about how busy each of you are just doing your programs and running everything. And, I know sometimes when I talk to Amber, I feel really sorry for her because she's got so much on her plate and manages so many different sites. But having kind of this think tank group, being able to come together and share those ideas and really find ways to collaborate and do more, I think is such an exciting prospect. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share or discuss?
Checking my mute. President, if you don't mind, I'd just like to put in a plug. I want to say that SHI's Gumboot Camp is scheduled to occur, and that if folks are interested in that, they can look at the website there. And Juneau School District is looking for applicants in their summer camp as well to do kits for families to sign up for kinder kits. I also just want to let our families, Head Start families, know that we'll be sending out some letters to currently enrolled children, just kind of giving some updates on how to navigate their medical situation right now, especially with COVID. Search is helping us understand what services are needed. A lot of shots are required for the kids at this age group right now, and what does that mean for rising kinders as well? So we've got some letters that are going to be sent out to families to understand how they can navigate their medical or their health care right now. I also want to give a shout out to TNH Housing Authority. They've helped us improve a lot of our sites, Klawock, Wrangell, you name it. They've been there to help us. So just a shout out and thank you to that agency and all the folks out in that way. John Parks, thank you. Gunath Hawa very much.
Great. Thanks. Rayanne, you had somebody had another question?
Yeah, Molly Porter just sent in a question. She's wondering how our programs, childcare programs, can find more teachers.
Yeah, this is Dr. Ginny. We are also wondering the same thing.
Well, I think that's probably the biggest challenge across the board is hiring. You know, fortunately and unfortunately, you know, when you in the childcare field, there's so many requirements and accreditations that you need to have, and that can be problematic for hiring. But I think wanting to provide the best service, I think that's a good thing, and wanting to make sure our children are well cared for and safe, you want to make sure the staff are well trained and accredited. But it is a kind of a catch-22, I think. Jamie, I know you've had some challenges hiring. Amber, probably across the board, I would say that's one of the biggest things. And then when one of the things that I kind of sit back and watch in the language era is, you know, we want all these folks, we want the language, we want people to be learning the language, to be able to teach the language. But if you're going to ask people to make that commitment to learn and to be able to teach the language, we, as the Native organizations, the for-profits, the nonprofits, the tribes, we've got to find ways to employ them then. And I think that needs to be a bigger priority for our organizations, is helping our people get accredited, getting them opportunities to be employed. And I'd throw that out there, and I'd love to hear from you ladies what your thoughts are on that and how we can improve that.
I'll speak to that, President. One of the things that's happening, and Alice could probably touch on it as well, is the Child Care Department is partnering with the Association for the Education of Young Children in Southeast Alaska, or AEYC.
Jamie froze up. Does anybody else want to jump in on that?
And they are in the works of developing a CDA.
Rayanne, maybe you could messenger her that she's freezing up. Somebody else want to take a stab, Sarah?
Yeah,
Academy. And so I'm sure more information.
Go ahead, Sarah.
So to what I caught of what Jamie was sharing is, I think there's, you know, AEYC and our child care department partnering together. And it's now that we have our vocational training coordinator on, William Andrews, one of the efforts being to have this conversation with childcare, to host that internally, to start providing that. When you look at the needs of Head Start, when you look at the needs of Learn and other childcare facilities, we just have such a need regionally. And that's something where we could be meeting our families where they're at to provide CDA training at the VTRC and finding, I think, creative ways to support people through that process. You know, if it's stipends or making it so they can focus on and getting those credentials to be an early educator. And I think something that Amber shared yesterday, and Amber, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but you said it so eloquently yesterday when we were preparing, was about really these early education opportunities, these programs, getting people into these places. Is our youth are our future. And I don't know if you would want to share with what you were sharing yesterday, but I just thought it was so on the spot of getting individuals to look at early education as a career and a pathway.
Mhm. Thanks, Sarah. Well, as we were preparing for this lunchtime chat yesterday, just something that struck me was the fact that all of Southeast Alaska, all of Tlingit and Haida, we have different departments that are trying to invest in our young children who are our future, and that we're doing in a self-determined way, and families can self-determine how they want to foster and how to invest in their children. You know, if it's through Head Start, if it's through Immersion, if it's through Learn, if it's in partnership with Alice. These are different ways in the menu that our families can invest in ourselves. And what we're asking and what we see as a need here is there's a broad spectrum for early childhood professionals. And I'm just thinking, you know, this is my plea to early graduates or people, you know, if you're not sure what you want to do, come partner with us. We'll help train you up to be successful in our program, and maybe until the time is right for you to move on, then we'll be here for you. And if you want to come back, we'll be here as well. But I just am extremely excited that our young children have this opportunity. If I had with my young children an opportunity to get them into a structured program, I would take it. And I think the best part about this is we recognize the parent is the first and foremost the primary teacher of their children. So we're not here to take the learning from parents or taking that role. We're here to partner. And so that was just something that we were talking about yesterday. I don't know, Sarah, if I veered off course a little.
I don't know if you did because I wasn't there, but I thought that was really well said. You know, thank you for that, Sarah and Amber. So, Rayanne, did we get any more questions?
Yeah, we have two more that came in. One is more of a statement, but we just thought it might be something that Amber could address. Heather Envoy, I'm not sure what community she's from, but it sounds like she has a child in Head Start, one of the Head Start centers, but she said that not having bus service was quite a burden on us as parents of students of multiple programs. Is there anything that you can kind of talk about, Amber, in regards to the Head Start bus service?
So when I initially became a director, I had looked at the spectrum of how we were spending our funds. And there was a large portion that was attributed to one specific community amongst 10 different communities. And so part of that was bus service. And so that imbalance with the state of our facilities, we knew that was a call made to redirect those funds from bus servicing to improve the facilities of other Head Start buildings and classrooms throughout Southeast. And that was not an easy call. Transportation is a huge benefit. And so looking forward, I know that what I am doing is looking at our budget. I'm looking at the sustainability of maintaining services. So that's the long answer to say, I I recognize the need for more transportation, especially within a community like Juneau that's spread out. And I'm hoping that we can find sustainable ways to reintroduce that, but while also being equitable to all the sites throughout Southeast. And so I think that would probably be an area that we can collaborate with Learn and Immersion as well. So I guess, and my answer is, I hope we can answer and come to a solution there, but I think that will also require collaborating with other programs as well. That is a, but I definitely hear the need there.
And
Yeah.
I just want to chime in and say for Amber, you know, part of that program is the equitability and having to take a look at some of our aging facilities. You know, we could lose our accreditation for some of the sites because of safety issues. So she's had to be very creative in meeting those, and we're held to very, very strict and high standards, as we should be. But we've had to work across the board on facilities. And when she mentioned the appreciating Tlingit Haida Regional Housing Authority, they stepped up in our villages where we couldn't just get out with a crew very easily, and were able to help us meet some of the improvements. We were able to basically hire them. And so she's been very creative, and I'm really proud of Amber's leadership there. And it is, we've had to make tough choices. She's come to me and I've backed her up on these choices, and we realize it does create a hardship on some of our families, and we want to avoid that at all costs, but we also have to make those improvements to keep the centers open.
Yeah, this is Dastini too. Kukanakla, I think, is who was asking the question. She had a daughter both in Head Start and in Hayuchatangi Kudi. So I do think, you know, for the equity issue, maybe figuring out how we can have like inter-program transportation, maybe not full citywide busing situations, but if we can figure out a solution for programs within the tribe, maybe that's a discussion. I know Sarah mentioned possibly sometime in the future us all being at one location, and so there isn't a lot of that transportation issue, but maybe that's something we can talk about within our programs of just intertribal program transportation in the future.
Absolutely. And just because something didn't work last year doesn't mean next year we can't come up with a new solution.
Absolutely.
Rayanne, did you say there was another question?
Yeah, just one more. KD Simmons, she said, one of the facilities here in Sitka does not allow for shared foods during this pandemic. One was a birthday cake. Our participants could not cut it up and share it for a retirement party. If meals are a component of the centers, is that being addressed?
Yeah, that's as Amber spoke to earlier, we have our own catering company here, and so that's in Juneau, that's been a little bit easier because it's a more controlled environment. I'd let Amber speak to if it's a bigger problem across in some of our communities.
Thank you, President. I think that is an area that CECFP is the child and adult care food program that Head Start participates in. It's on a reimbursement basis. And with that, we've incurred the regulations and the stipulations of operating our food services through that. So right now, what we're waiting on would be guidance from that agency to give us leeways. And when you're working with grant money, you have to also adhere to the requirements of those funds. So, and at this point, some of our agencies haven't caught up to the current circumstances to give guidance just yet. And that is one of the places that we're trying to wait for guidance. In the meantime, we are reaching out to other funding sources that will allow us to provide some food support. I think right now the goal is to, right now at this moment, all Head Start children, we are in all 10 of our communities throughout Southeast, we have an agreement with the school districts to allow our children to partake in their summer food program. So if you're in Juneau, your preschool child can get the summer food program meals through your school district. Wrangell is not participating in the summer food program, but they have an alternative folks, a restaurant owner who's feeding the community there. So at the moment, that's the avenue. As the schools kick off, when the school districts shift from summer food to national school lunch program, that is when Head Start will have to come up with our solutions to continue the nutrition services for our families. And I apologize, but I just don't know what that looks like right now.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Amber. I think does that wrap up all of our questions, Ryan?
That does.
Great. Well, again, I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us to help us learn about our child care and child development services. It's so exciting. Again, I'm really, really proud of this team of ladies. I think they're doing a phenomenal job and really putting in and developing some great programs for us. As we always do, we'll be closing out our chat session with random drawings. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to like our Facebook Live event for a chance to win door prizes. We want to, again, thank you all for tuning in and thank our sponsors, Sacred Grounds, Smokehouse Catering, Sacred Shine, Elizabeth Pradovich Hall, and the Navigators program. With that, it looks like we do have our random drawing. And so our Hydro Flask winner is Louise Cattinger, and the winner of a David Boxley Formline sweatshirt is Billy DeShini. So thank you all for liking and following us. Again, thank you, Ganesh, Hawa, and Dwiksham Newsom, to everybody for joining us today. If you have more questions, you didn't get to watch this live, go ahead and put your questions. This will be on Facebook, and if you post your questions to this feed, we'll make sure we answer those questions. It'll also be on our YouTube live. I want to remind folks that the video that we shared earlier, the full video, is on our YouTube channel. So please like and follow our YouTube channel, and join us next week where we're going to talk about some of our social enterprises. These are our economic drivers that we're for the tribe, and we'll be talking about things like our future Tlingit Haida Cultural Immersion Park, the Elizabeth Pradovich Hall, Southeast General Contractors, Sacred Grounds Cafe, Smokehouse Catering, Sacred Shine, and Learn. So we'll see you all next week. Be well and be safe.